Okay, so I think we can start. So, good evening. I think, yeah, I think good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining. So, thanks for joining us on this Saturday. So, thanks for showing your interest towards learning something new. So, I'll just give a small introduction about our community. So, what is ng-Keralam? So, ng-Keralam is a community which was formed to share knowledge on Angler. So, we do events every month, last Saturday, and also we organize a conference every year. So this year we had a conference on January. So every January we have conferences, and every month we have meetups running on Angular. This is our site, which is called as talkify.com. You can just go to the site if you want to know more about our events. And today we have two awesome speakers. One is Debasis Saha, he'll be showing us how to use animations in Angular applications. And next up we have Pandiyan. He's going to show us like how to profile our Angular applications. This is going to be a very interesting one. And if you have any questions, just post it in the comments. We'll pick it up at the end of every session. And Yeah, so first we'll start off with Debasis. So over to you, Debasis.
Okay, thank you, Suhas. So, welcome everybody. This is today we'll discuss about the animations in Angular applications. For this purpose, I'm using current versions of Angular framework, that is Angular 11. So, I am Debasis Saha. I'm a certified Microsoft trainer and sysadmin corner MVP. And currently, I'm working as a lead engineer at Wi-Fi Soft, Pune. So, in today's sessions, we'll discuss about the overview concept of Angular animations, and also how we can install or add Angular animations app application in our Angular applications, how to you use Angular applications in any project, and what are the animation states or what are the trigger points of the animations, and how we can transition between the different states. And at the end, we will be having some Q&A sessions. So at the beginning, first we discuss about the overview of Angular animations. So basically, in case of web applications, motion is the one of the keyword which basically adds some lives or and some interactive interactions to the any web applications. Basically, web application is always a static part, but with the help of motions effects or animations effects, we can add some extra special type of lives, or we can say that we add lives in our web applications. So Angular framework is also supports these types of Angular animations features or these motion-based features. So whenever we explore the native animations capabilities of Angular framework, and we can build expressive applications by using the Angular animations packages by using for any Angular versions up on or after Angular 6. In these sessions, using the Angular CLI for running the applications or code samples or demo, and also its animations module to create and animate the interactive demo. So in these sessions, we will find out how we can set parameters such as durations, delay, using and callbacks during for the animations effects, and also which allow us to adjust the timing and sequence for our animations, or how we can increase the speed of the animations or effects of the animations in the browser. So at the first, we discuss about the animations packages. So if we want to add animations in our Angular application, so first we need to install or add some Angular animation based package. For that purpose, we need to use Angular/animations. This is the only one package which is required for the animations purpose in any Angular application. So this is the by default. This package is provided by the Angular framework directly. So in any versions of Angular, which are using either 10 or 11 or earlier versions, we can add this package in our applications and install by using the npm. Now, how we can use the Angular animations after installing the package? So first, we go to, uh, as I said earlier, that for the demo purpose, I will using a Angular CLI project. So for the time being, I have created one blank Angular animation, blank applications by using the Angular CLI. And these applications, first I have added in the packages part, I have added the Angular animations packages here, so that after while running the Angular npm installs commands, this package is automatically installed or downloaded in our node modules folders. So this is a right now it is a simple empty package or an empty application. So if I run these applications, we can start. So it is a simple right now the no code has been written. So I have created some basics components like one route components, and this is the basic default templates we have used. And also I've created one basic HTML file, which is currently contains some static HTML code, and two Angular components. One is basic animations component, which is an empty component out looking as it, and also in a box applications, it is also an empty component. So this is right now it's totally a empty application which I have just created, and after running this application, so this is like looks like this. Okay. So now the first question is, after installing the Angular package, how we can include that Angular animations effect in our Angular module. So first we need to add the Angular @Angular/animations in our package.json. And then we need to run this install this package by using the npm commands like npm install, or we can, before all the other packages has been installed, then we want to only install this current package, then we can run this command npm install @Angular/animations. So whenever I running this command npm install @Angular/animations, this command is automatically add Angular animations package in the package.json file. After that, we need to include the browser animations module in our module file or module.ts file like this. So in this sample code snippet, so that first we have import the import browser module, the browser animations module, which is a part of the @Angular/platform browser/animations, this package. So this package is installed whenever we run this command npm install @Angular/animation. So we first need to include this browser animations module in our applications and then include in our import part. So this is the first step for writing or including animations of it in any Angular animations. And next, we need to implement the Angular animations in our any Angular components for any purposes. So whenever we want to implement Angular animations of it in any Angular components, we need to perform these implementations in 4 different steps. First step, we need to evaluate the data binding expressions, which tells Angular about which animation state the maintained host element is to assign. So whenever we need to perform any animations effect, we first identify the data binding expressions or the data state change expressions, for which we need to inform Angular framework that on particular this state, this type of animations will be occurred in the browser. So first we need to find out this, and next one we find out the data binding target intimate Angular, which data binding target, so to which intimate Angular, which animations target defines CSS types for the animation. So first we need to the source expressions or for source data binding expressions for which animations will occur, and the next one is the target data binding targets. That means when animations will occur, which type of CSS styles or which type of state change will occur, that need to be identified or defined. And next, now state intimate Angular, which CSS styles should be applied to the element. So in this state, Angular automatically intimate the applied CSS style in the element which is mentioned. And next, finally, the transitions. Transitions basically is a state which instruct Angular how it should apply the specific CSS style. So in there is a state change in the applications. So in these 4 different steps, we can perform or include animations effect in any Angular components or add any types of animation styles. So first one is the animation states. So whenever we're working with the animations in Angular, we first identify the animation state, from which animation state to what animation state this transitions will be moved. So for this purpose, we have different animation states in Angular framework. So Angular provides us a facility to define a style and transitions which need to be applied when an element state change. So whenever a element has state change has been performed, at that time we can perform or define a particular style like color change, font size change, or scaling change, scaling size change. Like this type of styling effect we can apply it for the new animation state change, and transitions effect for the next new state change applications by using the Angular. Angular always provides three different states which can implement in our application animations code. So these three states are, first one is the wildcard. Wildcard is the M1 is the state. This state is the default state of the element. It indicates all states of the element. Say that, for example, star equal greater than sign. This sign is active means that a state can be changed to an active state from any state or vice versa. So this is the all state or wildcard state. This is the default state in the Angular framework for any animations. Another is the void state. This state is used when we create the element, but that particular element is not part of the DOM, or the element is already removed from the DOM part. So in that case, we need to mention this state. So void is only occurred when we want to create an element, but that element is not either included in the DOM, or when this animation is occurred at that moment, this element has been removed from the DOM. In these two scenarios, this void state will be need to be used. And another is the third one is a custom state. It can be any custom state, because in this custom state we can mention the state name like active, inactive, basic. So we need to indicate the state name or state status in this custom indicator. Most of the cases we are using either wildcards or the custom state in our animation settings. So the next is the transition state. When so these are the three states, that is wildcard, void, and custom, where we can mention the state change or state status of an element. Now after that, we need to mention the trigger effect. So that when this particular element is reached at a particular state, or want to change the state from one state to another state, then what will be the trigger? Like what changes will be applied in the browser, or what changes will be applied on that particular element. That needs to be a mention. So that part is known as a trigger state. Trigger is basically accept a name of the animation's trigger, and also an array of state and transition methods to implement the configurations for the element. So trigger basically means represents a name, which is basically represents a group of collections with the state name and the transitions. We may consider or mention multiple state within the same trigger, or multiple transitions methods, implement multiple transitions method within the single trigger. The next one is state, except the name related to the state and the styles which should be applied when the HTML element is in the state specified state. So in this part, state part, we need to mention the trigger name according to the trigger name, and mention the what type of styles which should be applied on the element when the element is reached to that particular state. And the next one is style. Style is basically used to define the CSS attributes or properties against the element, so that when that particular element is reached on the specified state, then those CSS styles can be applied, or can be applied on a particular element. And transition means it is basically transfer one state to another state so that objects movement or motions can be implemented. Configuration is basically indicate the configurations for the transitioning between different states and their directions. So these are the four keywords which we need to include in the animations part. And the last one is the animate. Animate is basically the attribute of the module. So durations of the animation and that any additional CSS animation properties such as easing, scaling out, those can be mentioned in the animations. So this is an examples, code snippets regarding to the animations. So whenever we need to use any of these states, like trigger, state, style, transition, or animate, we first need to import those things from the Angular animations packages like this. So trigger, state, style, animate, and transitions. And animations is basically one of the attribute of the component decorator, attribute component decorator, where we can mention all the animation state like trigger and state change. So trigger can contains the actual contents, and within the trigger we can mention the state, and also within the state, each and every state can contain a style. For particular state, which style will be applied. In this example, trigger enable state change contains two different state. One is default state, another is the disable state. For default state, we have applied a style called opacity is one set opacity of one against this div element, whereas the disable state will apply style of opacity 0.5. And also in this case, we need to mention the transitions. So here we are normally using the wildcard, that is start wildcard. That means it will automatically move from one state to another state when the state has been changed. And in this case, that we have provided the animations timing part. Like after 300 milliseconds, each state, one state, first state can be changed to another. So say, for example, if our default state is initial state is default, then after 300 milliseconds, that particular object state has been changed and it will be moved to the disable state. So we can change out this timing frame within the animations effect. So let's do some practical examples regarding this. So I have create some simple applications here first. So this is the basic example where is some static HTML text has been written out. Now I have prepared some code snippets. So I'll copy this and go to the box animations. And in this box animation state, so this is not required here. So first I have created some styles attribute within the component decorator for the box animations part. And here I have created one class that is background color, width, height, border radius, and margin. Now I'm coming back to the box animations, basic animations.html file, and include this selector in place of animations demo. So now I have created one basic component, Angular component, in which I have placed a div, and within that div I have used a class mybox mxauto, and I have defined the mybox class attribute by using the style CSS styles in the style set properties. Okay. Now if we go to the browser, then this attribute, this component is basically draw a small rectangle size of 200 pixels height and width, or better to say this small square, but square rectangle in the UI. Now we will add some transitions effect or animations effect on this particular rectangle set. So for that purpose, first we need to add some buttons in the basic.html file, so that on click on those buttons, particular that state change or animations can occur. So for that part, I have added two basics button right now initially, and I need to add one basic functions. So they're not in this in the basic component. So what I have done here, I have had two buttons here, and on click on those two buttons, we are calling a method called change state method, and each and every button passes input value as a string value to this method, so change state value to original method. And whenever this button is clicked, I have used here a public variable called switch state, and this is whatever the button I have clicked, say on change state button or say animations button or return to original button, according to that, a certain value, fixed value or key value has been assigned to switch state, and that value will be pinned in the console.log. So now if I visible it, so this is the two buttons is appeared, and if we go to the console part, now if I click on the animations part, so this is called basics, and clear it again. So this is the first one I have clicked on the return to original. So original state has been painted. This is a static state or custom state name, which will be implemented in our box animations component later. So this is the key. which I have defined. We can define any key, any types of naming convention here. Now, return back to the code snippet. So I'll open back to the box animations component. Now we need to add some animations effect in this box. Okay. Now, in the box animations part, I'll send this value as an input parameter. So whatever the value we have assigned in the basic component switch state input value by clicking on the buttons, we have passed those value as an input parameter to the box animations component and in the inbox. So we need to define an input parameter value in the current state called current state in the box animations component. So return back to the here and add input decorator and define initially I have defined this as a bank string. So till now there will be no change because till now we are not implemented any transitions effect or any state effect in the component of box animations. Now I'll import the animations part and add a insert parameter here so that that can be implemented and include the animations decorator properties in the component target component. So this is the animation. So let's see. In this part, what we have defined, I'll explain this part of code. So in the animations part, we can define n numbers of animation states, which we have earlier mentioned, like trigger. First, we need to mention the trigger. So this is the order. In this order, we need to mention. So whenever you want to use any animations effect, we first use the animations properties, and within the animations property, first we need to use the trigger state. We can use multiple trigger state within a single animations effect. So first in the trigger state, we have to provide a trigger name, say change state, and this change state value I have used here. So this is the change state means this name. Not this is not related to the current state or nothing. So this is linked to the change state. And whenever it is change state value is linked, that means what are the input values is given by this component into this component from the basic component, that input value will be passed to this trigger, and according to the input value, any one of the state will be fired or triggered. So in this part, we are setting two different trigger. One is original and another is basics. So according to that, I have created here two different trigger state name. One is original and one is basics. Because from this part, when we click on the first button, it will be pass a value original to this component from the as a input value. So this trigger part will be receive an input value from the trigger in the change state attribute as the original. So we need to mention the original state. What would be the effect of the original state? So this is, we can say this is basically is a custom state where we can mention the name, and after that we have defined the related style. So if the original state is this, then it will be effect like this. It will be the change the background color and the transform this to scaling 1. This means the original size. But if it is the state is basic, then it will again change the color and it will size transform the size of scale to that means it increase the scale size or double. And at the rate and the end, we implement the transitions effect that whenever it is implemented from any we move transitions movement from one transition state to another transition, and that or from any transitions we can move to basics, or from any state to any state we can move to basic or original. So that means there is no dependency on this, and for each and every dependency there is a delay of certain time frame. So for the first part, we have mentioned that 800 milliseconds, and the second part for the original, we have mentioned that it will starts with the 200 milliseconds. So this is the first basics sample. Now we turn back to browser. Now, if right now it is in initial state, so whenever I click on the animation split, so it will automatically increase the size according to the state, and this state is occurred till the end of the disk to self scaling out for each and every 800 milliseconds durations. And if I click on the original, so it will little bit faster because and when I click on the animation, the size of increase is little bit slow. But when I click on the return to original, then at that time the transitions movement is much more faster because we are mentioning that two different because from start to basics, when we click on basic, then there is a 800 milliseconds. But when we move this to the basics, say I'll change this second to 1000 milliseconds. That is in 1 second. So now I'll move it to the animations, and if I now click on the original, so then it will be returning to slow. So in this way, we can transition this effect. So until unless this automatically original is not reached out, that is the scaling one, it is not reached out, then it will be occurring this animations with this time frame. Also, you can size increase the size like 2.5 or say 1.5 like this. So this is the initial state, first state, or so when I click on this is the initial state, and when I click on this is the state. So we can increase the size uh, as well as. So in this way, by using this trigger attribute or trigger properties, we can change this type or implement these types of animations in our Angular animations. So now we'll add some more feature functionalities in this component. So for this part, I will add two more buttons to our HTML form page, and these two buttons is the same like previous one. Two button. One is for animations with delay. In that case, animations will occurred but with a lag or time delay, and another is the animation with X. Now I'll copy the to the new state in the box animations, and so just like above, we need to define two new state. One is dealing and another is easing. And for each of them, there is a different transformations like background color or transform scaling size, etc. I have changed the value. Similarly, we have added to more transitions movement for these two effects. So in case of delaying, it will be 800 milliseconds and 1200 milliseconds timeout. And each case, it will be the ease out, and it is easing out. So now going back to browser. So this is the previous effect which we have seen. Now I'll click on animations with delay. Say, whenever I click on animations button, it will start the animations immediately. This animation effect automatically starts, but whenever I click on animations delay, it will start after some time lag, because in that part we have mentioned that three parameters. In the first two part, we have mentioning only single one parameter, but first in this part we have mentioning three parameters. First one is the animations effect, that is the durations of each state change movement, and then this one third second one is basically is the time lag or delay inputs, delay time spent. So how after uh, what time the interval this animation will start, and this is the is out. Similarly, when we animation is, so it will be automatically start on because here we are not mentioning any second parameter. So but if I mention this second parameter, and say I'm mentioning this a little bit slower mode. So, so, so this is the time frame or ease out or delay effect, which we can implement in our animations by using the delay time frame. Now we'll add another button in the same HTML file. It's basically for step-based animations. And that one. And now for this part, we are mentioning this, and we are using the here for the frames. So now in this animations part, we are animate the object by using the keyframes parameters. So in this part also, we have mentioned the background color and transformation set, that is scaling 1. But within the animations part, this part, we are mentioning that animation should be starts after 3000 milliseconds, that is 3 seconds, after 3 seconds. And it will also part the easing out. And for that part, we have defined 4 different keyframes for these animations. So from any for these keyframes, we are defining, because our ultimate output is whenever we click on the step, it will return to the scale 1, that is the original size. So we are assuming that from a larger size, we need to move this object to another object or another size. So that part, we are, for each and every keyframes, we have defining different scaling value. And for each and every scaling value, we are change the background color for each and every step. And for those part, we are mentioning the offset value. So also for each and every keyframes like this, you can mention a separate style effect for animating the part. So now, if we say this is the original value. Now, if I click on the animation, stripped animations, you can see that return to the original. So this is the effect of easy now, because if the return object return to original, if it's in the original object, then stripped means it will be increase the size and then reduce it. But in case of ease out, it is always increasing the value. So if we use this as a ease out, it's in, I'm not using the ease out. So in that case, if the size is increased, then only the strip animations will occur. But it will not happen anything. So whenever we make the changes, this animation types of effect is done. Similarly, we can perform the parallel concept of animations, because during the animations part, we can change the background color or apply the different types of style at the same time or in a parallel concept. So for that purpose, I'll add another button here, say Kerala, and pass this button with parallel animations. And similarly like that, we will add concept change object and related transitions. And here we need to include the group interface, because for parallel options, we need to add multiple animations groups as an animation effect as a group. So for this part, what we have done here, we define two different animations, because in the previous earlier all these animation transition effect we are only defined one single animation effect, but in this part we have defined two different animations effect. One is after 1000 millisecond, another is 2000 millisecond, and both the cases, first case it will be change the background color, and the second case it will change the transformation size is to 1 to 4, 1.4. So now if we click on the transitions effect, so I'll first animate the object in the directory view and then click on parallel images. Do one thing, I'll change the style a little bit or alternate the effect so that so so this is the effect, or we can slow down a little bit more. So this is the different transitions effect or groove transition effect, where two different types of things can be done. So this can be done. And change the color. So it will be done the parallel color, and then it will be initialize the object as the initial object. Similarly, we can raise the events by during the animations part. So for that part, what are the events has been fired during any animations? We can trap out this also. So first we have create two method calling the two different methods. One is instead.start. This will be fired which event will be locked, and the change state dot done. These are the two different state of the change state, the start and done. This is the property of this change state trigger. And then I'll add this code in my components. So when the change state has been occurred, at that time animations begin will be called, and there we will call print the message like what is the phase name or from which state to which state and what is the total time. And for animation set, similar types of message we are printing. So now don't define this as see, for the first part, we have only single animation that is done void original 1000. But when you click on the animations, do one thing. I'll do one thing. I'll change the scaling size a little bit smaller so that I can display the text better. So initially this is done basic mode, or if we refresh the page. Now initially first it is done in void mode. Now I click on the animations. First it is in original and then change to 800. So it will change the state, and then again if we click on the delay, then it will display the delay mode and delay to basics. So it will convert from delay to basics transition mode. So this way we can print the call the event functions from the animation state change output also. So this is a one type of static type of animations, because this animation is done by the timing or the child set of operations. But also we can invoke these operations by with the mouse movement. For this part, I'll do one thing. I'll add one another component in this part. Animations component.ps. and copy the enter code here. And now need to include this component in our module now. Go to the sections and add another div here and place the new component decorator. So this is a basically draw a circle in the drop in the screen. So what we have done here, first we designed a style here by defining the circle, and then in the statement part we are using state change part, change state part, and there we have used three different state. One is rest, another is hover, and another is a press. So rest is always is has into scale one. So in case of war, when we move over the mouse on this drawing object, at that time we'll increase the scale size to 1.8. And in case of press, if I click on the press mouse but left mouse button on the object, then it will size scaling the object size is 3 and also change the background color. Then we move out, and after it we include all the transition effect here. See, this is the one simple difference between these two objects, because here we are using transition means all anyone to anyone. That means here start to basic means I can move from any state to basic state, or any state to original state, or any state to delay. So suppose if in the previous example, if suppose I am click on the animations delay, and in that sessions in this state is now again, if I click on the animation, then it will be automatically moved, because at that time we are mentioning that we can reach to the original state from any state. It is a start state or aesthetic. So whenever I am with the animations data, but if I click on the animation, then it will automatically change the state. But in this example case, it will we have simply mentioned a direct one directional movement directions for our animations. That is, if we are in rest state, then only we can move to the hover state. From hover state, we can move to the rest state. Similarly, from hover state, we can move to the press state, and from press state, we can move to the rest state. But we cannot move to the press state from directly from the rest state, because from this part we are using the mouse key operator or mouse object movement. So that's why we are here mentioned the directional state change transitions from one state to another state. This is not a all or a wildcard character. So whenever I am click mouse change, simply take the mouse on within the object, say, which is automatically increase the size. But if I click on the object, then it will automatically change the size to it. Then it will return to the direct. So if I whenever I click on the hover to change the state, but if we comment this, say first one, if I comment this, say rest to hover, and I'll comment it, in that case, it will directly jump, but there is a no movement or transitions. So if we want to add a smoothness in the animations effect, that we need to include this transitions effect in the this change state part. So this is the examples of related to the animation style. So that's all from my part for today's sessions. If anybody has any questions, they can contact, they can ask. Also, if anybody wants to reach, they can contact with me in this Twitter.
Okay. So I think that was a very good session. That was the demo was really good, which showed us the real power of animations. So thanks for that. So till now there are no questions. Like guys, if you have any questions, you can reach out to his Twitter handle. So
Yeah,
Debasis Saha, you can reach out to him if you have any questions. Just send him a message. I think he'll happy to help you.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and once again, thanks, Debasis. So thanks for joining us on this
Yeah,
Saturday. Thanks for your time.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, Kusumas. It's
Yep.
nice effort. I'll stop the screen sharing, right?
Yeah, sure, Debasis.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Um, okay. So today, like we planned for two sessions, but unfortunately, due to some personal reasons, Pandiyan was unable to join. So today we had only one session. So maybe we'll have that on next month. So thanks for joining us, guys. So thanks for your support. And as I said earlier, like we have a meetup group for us, which is called the Stockify Community. Meetup.com/Talklify community. You can just go to this link and click. There'll be a join group button here, and you can click join to get updates of our future events. So if you create any events, you'll be notified. Actually, we also do events related to Microsoft technologies every month, second Saturday, and we do Angular on last Saturday of every month. So if you are interested on Microsoft technologies, you can also join her. You will get updates about our Microsoft events. So thanks, guys. Thanks for your support. So, and thanks to Debasis for joining us and speaking up in our community. So thanks again, and thanks to you guys. So have a happy weekend. Thank you.